Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is the Pest and Lawn Ginja, and this is my lawn. Today we're going to go over my first spring treatments and how to quickly change that ugly lawn into something nice and healthy.
Let's take a look at my lawn. As you can see, it is green. I mean, considering I haven't done any fertilizing, no real spring care whatsoever, it's looking amazing. Now, I did a lot of fall prep to get it this way for this spring. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there saying, but Ginja, this isn't relatable. My lawn looks like trash. Well, take a look at my lawn just 1 year ago. You can see super brown, lethargic, and it is just screaming for help. And this should be a little bit more relatable. And what I'm gonna do is show you the quickest way to go from 0 to hero or being brown like this to green.
Just want to bathe in it. Oh, yes.
Now, while it is true that we could just throw a ton of fertilizer at this thing and light it up like a Christmas tree, we want to step back and look at the overall goal. The overall goal is to have a nice, thick, healthy lawn that's not going to encounter a ton of lawn problems. So we want to take a step back and we want to start conditioning the soil and the roots to go down. Now, season after season, mow after mow, there's going to be a certain amount of yard debris that is not going to be picked up by the lawnmower. Where does that debris go? Well, it eventually sits up and stacks up on the soil surface, and instead of creating mulch, it just creates a giant weed barrier, and eventually it needs to be removed. And if you don't remove it, it's going to cloud your color, and eventually you're going to have these pockets of dead areas because the grass won't grow. Now, the solution is simple. It's to use a power rake or a dethatcher. Now, a power rake, simply put, is a device that has flails on it. Now, these flails will score the ground at 50-to-1 ratio, and they really do a bang-up job. However, they're very invasive on the grass. Now, a dethatcher actually has these little tiny tines. It almost looks like a paperclip that's spun into the shape of a U. Much less invasive on the lawn, and these dethatchers work very, very well. Now, the purpose for both of these machines is to remove lawn debris. Now, your power rakes come in at about $1,500 to $3,000, and they'll remove about 33% more lawn debris where these little tiny dethatchers will, which only means that you have to make one additional pass with the dethatcher instead of spending all that money. Now, personally, I feel like having a dethatcher is one of the best tools that you guys can own if you want a really nice looking lawn or if you're looking to fix lawn problems. Ginja's preferred product is the Sunjoe Dethatcher and Scarifier. Now, I enjoy this machine a little bit more than I enjoy the Works because it comes with two attachments. You get the Dethatcher and the Scarifier, but it also gets closer to the ground, which in return will remove more debris. Now, this device is really simple to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the settings to 0. This is for the Dethatcher settings. You don't want to go below 0, otherwise that drum is just sitting right on top of the soil. Now, what I'm going to focus on is going over the lawn 2 to 3 times. Now, what I like to do is alternate the directions that I'm going. So I'm going to go horizontally, then vertically, then diagonally if I decide to do a third pass.
Now, at first glance, it may not seem like the machine's doing much because I stripped all the debris out last fall. But when you get in here, you can start seeing all the stuff that is surfaced right here. And it's just dead grass and things that didn't overwinter right now. That's gonna end up clouding my color. So it's kind of nice getting it to the surface, and then I'm gonna end up blowing it off.
Now, for you guys at home who get a Sunjoe dethatcher, you're going to end up wanting to do a cleanup between each pass. It's important to remember that the Ginja has dethatched this lawn or power raked this lawn about 5-6 times over the last 2 years. So I'm not going to be pulling up much, but I'm still doing it because the benefits of those tine-based dethatchers are it increases oxygen flow to the roots and through the top layer of the thatch.
All right, so me and the Royce finally got the lawn done. It took a little bit, but we got it done. It's just like vacuuming. It sounds like a vacuum too. Neighbor's kind of looking at me, whatever. It's gonna be green. I'm gonna be the Joneses. That's what I'm talking about. Now our next step of the process is to scarify the lawn. Now what that's gonna do is cut little slits into the grass. Now the best part about that is it's similar to lawn aeration, where it's going to promote root growth. Now the other thing is it's going to remove some excess thatch and create space for the grass to grow out wider, which also promotes growth.
Now I wanted to clarify a few things for you, so I pulled a plug out of my lawn. Now this spongy layer right there is called the thatch layer. It's basically a root ball. It's a root mass. Now when that root mass gets out of control, it causes the grass to grow upwards instead of rooting downward. The confusing part is a power rake and dethatcher will get rid of the lawn debris such as leaves, tree seeds, dead grass, and other mulch that didn't break down and decompose in the lawn. Now the Scarifier attacks the thatch because with the Sunjoe machine it'll allow you to get underneath the soil to pull that debris and that thatch to the surface, in essence thinning it out. It's almost if you were to take some shears and cut right through. Now just the same way that I use the dethatcher, I'm going to scarify in both directions. Now I recommend 2 passes, 1 vertical and 1 horizontal pass. Now you notice I have 5 times the amount of material that's surfaced, and that's because the Ginja has a thatch problem, and this is thatch. Now the thatch is commonly thicker and denser than normal lawn debris, but you can see the machine, how well it does its job. It cuts those slits into the lawn. Now is a perfect time if you're going to be overseeding your lawn to put the grass seed into those slits. Now the Scarifier does have some lawn leveling properties to it because it does cut these grooves. So if you guys have a problem with earthworms making mounds in your lawn, I find this does a pretty decent job of flattening those out as long as you do 2 to 3 passes. Now I find the easiest way to clean up the debris is to use a heavy duty backpack blower and just kind of blow the debris forward. Now, if you don't have that luxury, a common leaf rake does a fantastic job, and you're just gonna wanna put them into separate piles to make it easier to clean up. Now here's the pile of thatch that I picked up with the Scarifier. I got it in a pile, and believe it or not, I'm still finding debris as well. I've picked up some stones, I've got some mulch from the mulch beds and wood chips that I picked up. I even found a couple pieces of plastic. I got seeds from a maple tree. So it's really important that you get this out of the lawn so it can breathe evenly.
Now I'm really excited to have both the dethatching done and the scarifying done, because that leads us to the solution that pulls this whole process together, and that is the lawn fertilization. Now I'm going to focus on using about 1/2 pound of nitrogen on the lawn. Now I want to focus on ammoniacal nitrate. So if you look at the bag that you guys have at the local Home Depot or Lowe's, you're going to see the active ingredient. If it says ammoniacal nitrogen, that is a good primary use of fertilizer. Now you guys are going to see a lot of focus on urea. Now urea puts a big flash to the lawn, and it isn't taken up by the plant as well in early spring when the soil temperatures are colder. So your ammoniacal nitrogens are going to be a little bit healthier for the plant. Now I'm going to focus on about 1/2 pound of nitrogen to get me started. Now I'm doing that because I put the lawn through a little bit of stress. Now if I wasn't putting the lawn through the stress, I'm not so much focused on growth as much as I am color.
Now choosing a product is pretty simple. We want to make sure that it's got enough nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, but also supports our goals. Now my goal is just to get it out of its current dull looking state and back into a beautiful healthy state. So I'm looking at the 1704. Now if you guys are overseeding at home, you don't want to use a ton of nitrogen, but you want more phosphorus and potassium, and a 1358 is going to be a better choice for you. Now you can find these products on yardmastery.com, but if you feel like you just want to go to the local hardware store, just find something with similar numbers, but also uses ammoniacal nitrogen.
Now, if you're curious on how to calculate the amount of nitrogen that goes down per 1,000 square feet out of the bag, it's pretty simple. If you just look at the bag as being 100% or 1 pound of nitrogen, you divide it by the bag number that's first on the bag. So for instance, this Propeat bag has the number 17, so I would divide 100 by 17, and that gives me proper amount of product to apply to reach 1 pound of nitrogen. Now, since I want to get down to 1/2 pound of nitrogen, I'm going to then divide that number in half by 2,
which gives us about 3 pounds
of product per 1,000 square feet to achieve 1/2 pound of nitrogen. Now the Propeat that I'm going to be putting down is a fantastic product, and if you guys are debating on a product, this is the one. Now the reason why I really love Propeat is they use ammoniacal nitrates, not urea, which is a better source of nitrogen, but they also have a whole separate category of micronutrients inside the bag. Now micronutrients are kind of your fruits and vegetables for the roots and also color, which is huge. Propeat is one of the very few fertilizers that actually has a homogeneous granular. What that means is they took all the active ingredients, they broke them down, then they pearled them into a granule, so each granular has the exact same ingredients in it, meaning every granular is alike. Now that makes a big difference when you're spreading it across the surface to have an even distribution of nutrient. Now, just as the name Propeat insinuates, it's got peat moss in the bag. Now there's two things you want to understand about that. It helps retain water. Peat holds 7 times its weight in water, so it acts as a water retention, so you save money, you don't have to buy another product. The other benefit of peat moss is it's a carbon source. It also holds micronutrients in it as well, and the more you apply the Propeat, the better it gets. So if you start at the beginning of the season using Propeat and lead it all the way through to the ending, you're gonna have more peat on the lawn, which eventually is gonna lead into better water retention and better soil. You can purchase Propeat directly from yardmastery.com, or you can go to the Propeat website to see where it might be available in your local area. Now the benefit to purchasing from yardmastery.com is they're the only ones that carries the greens grade of Propeat.
Now there's a few benefits to having the greens grade over just the regular turf grade. The major benefit is the granule size is much smaller, which means you're getting more product per square inch by comparison to the regular turf granular. The other benefit of having a smaller granular is it makes spreading a whiz. You can kind of get in those hard to do areas along the edges without wasting as much product.
Now's that time you get off the couch and go slay that lawn. If you guys want to be the envy of the lawn and be the Joneses, follow my steps. If you guys have any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments. You know I'd love to help you guys out. Until next time, guys, this is the Ginja. I'm out.